Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dylan. I'm your host. And today, guys, I'm going to be talking about one really important thing for every single meeting that you should ever attend, or if you ever want help, frankly, from anybody. So, one of the things that has been on my mind and what I'm going to do the podcast on today is something that's honestly pretty short and sweet. So, all of us in construction have a ton of meetings with people. You meet with people all the time. You have meetings of all sorts, and meetings are just a part of life in construction, right? We have calls with folks. We've got impromptu things, and the phone and being able to use it is something super, super important. And frankly, for this podcast, the reason I do it most of the time is honestly just to improve my ability to speak and communicate, to put thoughts together, to improve how I tell stories. That is the sole reason I do this podcast, or not the sole reason, but like one of the big ones is basically skill development for myself. The other reasons are to help you guys with things that I find, frankly, pretty annoying. And it's things that basically the industry doesn't talk about whatsoever, or not that I see in my feed on LinkedIn or any news industry articles, anything like that. So, really, as a guy that's done $1 billion worth of construction projects, I have a lot of meetings, I have a lot of calls, I talk to a lot of people in the industry. And because I do both engineering projects and I am selling software, right, with Cowabunga Studios to engineers, I talk to basically people on all sides of the fence, all sides of the table. I talk to contractors, I talk to GCs, electrical contractors, other specialty contractors. I talk to engineers, architects, like you name it. I have conversations with all of them around not just projects, but productivity enhancement, um, everything, the gamut around, right? And then because of how prolific I am on LinkedIn and writing and articles, posts, all that kind of good stuff, I end up getting people reaching out to me for this, that, or the other thing, the YouTube content, whatever. And this honestly just very much irks me. So there's folks that have reached out to me on LinkedIn and wanted to talk about whatever, right? And I'm fairly open to that sort of stuff for the most part. And guys can reach out, I'll talk to you for the most part. Again, I still have discretion in a lot of this. And so guys book calls or whatever. And that's fine. Again, I'm selling stuff too, right? Like you never know where business development leads. And so had a guy reach out, PE, works for a, decent sized firm, whatever. And through this, he, books a call. I say, hey, if we can meet, send the invite right to him, give me an email. He accepts the invite. No big deal. Come meeting time, doesn't even show. Right. So I send an email 2, 3 minutes into the meeting. Hey, you joining? And sometimes, with technology and Zoom links and all that kind of stuff, right? It's got the wrong one or the wrong meeting invite, or I'm waiting, and usually people are like looking to check their email and be like, oh yeah, hey, click on the link and good to go. Right. Like, and that happens. So a few minutes here or there around a meeting time, I'm not like, been up about, right. I give people 5 minutes grace. Like that's, I think, respectable. So give a guy, a couple minutes in the email, and then go and find out, like go look on LinkedIn, which again, if somebody sends you something through email, then you use email. Like not everybody's checking social media all the time and have notifications turned off. So like don't do that. Use email. That's the right mode of communication now. Once you've booked a meeting, you have an email. Use that. Is 3 minutes after the meeting starts, said, hey, another meeting came up, gotta push. It's like, well, one, the meeting came up clearly before our meeting time. You had a meeting time with me. So now you're telling me that the other meeting is more important than the meeting with me, which fine, right? We all have priorities. So you've just wasted now a whole bunch of my time. Then you want to rebook a thing. And you told me that I'm secondarily important to whatever else you had going on. The big lesson in here, and there's a few, the big lesson is when you make commitments, you keep them, period, full stop. When you reach out to somebody and you want their help and then you push them off, don't expect them to now help you. Right? You've now told me that I am not important, that you don't really want my help, you don't value my time. So therefore, I will not value your time. It's a pretty easy thing to understand. But apparently, in this world of instant communication, instant reach, I can touch anybody. We don't have that same level of respect. And here's a PE, right? Clearly doesn't value his time. Doesn't mean I shouldn't value mine. So if you're going to reach out to somebody, one, and I actually just went through this whole text exchange with another guy who I actually respect and who's been on a podcast before, has huge experience in a bunch of stuff, but he understands value of time. And he had a question for me. He's got my number and he texted me yesterday morning about some stuff. And, I gave him my answers back via text because I didn't need a 20-minute conversation with him to give him the answers. Right. And then I thought more about it today and, we've been texting back and forth about it, but in total, our conversation maybe was 20 minutes, but I didn't need to be on the phone with him for that. Right. He didn't need my uninterrupted attention for something. Right. It's quick, easy, in, out, go from there. And so the thing that I really, really think about for all of this is value people's time, right? If you're wanting to look out or to reach out to somebody and pick their brain or, bug them for information or whatever, you better have your questions lined out. You better be prepared. You better be ready to have that conversation. And then when the time comes to have that call, you better show up early, at least on time, to the call and have your questions ready, and go from there. But the reason this is so top of mind, not only did I have one happen, now I had another younger guy reach out and, want some time for whatever. And again, I'm fairly open to some of that. And, again, just blew it off. Didn't even show up. I'd send an email again 2-3 minutes after a call, like, hey, you coming? And guy, I know he opened his email because I tracked it. Like I have my email tracking turned on. So I know he got the email. I know he opened it right when I sent it and then decided to not show up to the meeting. I will never help that person now, ever. Right? You've disrespected my time. You took me away from things that I could otherwise be doing. You took me away from billable work to waste my time. So, and then if you look around all the meetings that you have in construction, right, you got 10 people showing up to a meeting, probably billing at least 125, if not 150, if not $200 an hour. So you got 10 guys at $150 an hour. That's a $1,500 meeting. If you spent $1,500 on food for people, like you'd get red flags all the time, but you waste $1,500 in people's time every single day. So the bigger point in here is like, think twice before you really book a meeting with somebody. Think twice before you call somebody, send some emails, get some things going. There are some things that need to be talked through. There are, purposes and times for a call, but at the end of the day, have some discretion in your communication styles, email, text, phone, whatever. And again, some things are best communicated over the phone. Some things, you just want to run through real quick to let people know what's happening, even though you send a set of drawings, like here's the big things to look for, all that stuff. So at the end of the day, like have some discretion in how you communicate with people. I think this gets overlooked often. I've had just here recently a handful of run-ins with a number of different folks on it, and then some that do it right. I have recurring calls with some good friends that are in the industry and some other just good friends on like a 2-week biweekly call cadence. And honestly, with those guys, like we show up on time. If we're running late, or whatever, we let each other know. Like it's not a big deal at that point. Like, and usually it's hey, I'm head out to my car, like, because some guys are leaving work, they're on the East Coast, and obviously I'm on the West Coast. So for them, it's 4 o'clock for them. I get my afternoon walk in, works out. So a lot of this is like, hey, I'm leaving the office now. I'll call you in 5 minutes, kind of thing. So whatever it is, like there's a time and place for each person, how they communicate, who communicates to you. But if you're trying to learn from somebody, like be on time. This is the first thing that just wipes you from the list of, not never getting anybody to help you, is timeliness. If you're going to reach out to people and take people's time, um, be prepared. Like plain and simple, be prepared. If you're not prepared, prepare for them to not help you and potentially, hurt your career, right? You always forget the other side of that is, you disrespect somebody hard enough, they will find ways to wreck your career. So like, don't forget that people are vindictive. I am just not going to help you, right? I'm not going to go out of my way to hurt you. That is not everybody. So just beware of that, you don't want to disrespect somebody, especially somebody you don't actually know. And you maybe just think they're a personality or whatever, but don't disrespect people's time. It's frankly one of the biggest insults you can give somebody, because we all only have so much of it. So it's the only non-renewable resources that we have. So again, when you take somebody's time, think twice. And that today, guys, is going to be this episode of the Construction Corner podcast. Until next time.